Hello, my friends.
Hello.
Welcome to another Friday live stream learning
hmm
with us.
Yes.
So, today we are going to talk about how to make intimacy easier. Good
Yeah,
topic.
it is.
Who's ready?
I know. Well, I mean, we've had a lot of big topics this month, the entire month of July,
Mm-hmm.
talking about achieving extraordinary ease. Like that's the title of the series.
Mm-hmm.
So we started off with communication because who doesn't want easier communication?
Yep. And then we talked about making connection easier because really connection is what it's all about.
Right. And so this week we're going to talk about intimacy because that's kind of the order.
also important.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, and
go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's really interesting. I read this study once, and I apologize. I don't remember the authors of the study or the name of the article that I read, but it was, PhD school where we read a lot of research. But there was this research article that found it was a survey of satisfaction in couples, and what they found was really interesting where sexual intimacy was concerned in particular. And it was that when the relationship was good and the couple was like generally pretty satisfied with their relationship, they would rate like their intimacy at about 25% contributing factor to their satisfaction. However, for couples who were dissatisfied with their relationship as a whole, they would rate intimacy as 75% of the contributing factor to their dissatisfaction. So what that demonstrated was how really important actually intimacy is, that when it's good, we don't pay a lot of attention to it. It just is part of the picture. It flows easily. It's like we can see all these other parts of our relationship that are really important and part of our fulfillment. But when the sexual and intimacy aspect of a relationship is not working, for a lot of couples, what that means is it becomes like the forefront issue. And then they don't even see other parts that might be working, because the fact that this piece isn't working is really problematic and creating a lot of suffering and distress in the relationship and a lot of dissatisfaction. So this is a really important topic.
Yeah. And, because it's so important, especially intimacy, sexual intimacy, and its importance needs its own attention and priority.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's a myth, actually, right? And I think we talked about this in a myth series.
In May.
Yeah. That if your relationship is going well, sex is going to go well and be easy. Or if your relationship is struggling and you make your relationship better, that the sex part of your relationship is going to get better with it. Not actually true.
Right.
And there's a lot of really good reasons why, that piece of our relationship, as Cal was saying, like needs its own attention. You got to work on your relationship and well-being, and there's overlap, right? You can imagine them as like a Venn diagram, but it's not like 100% overlap. And so your sexual relationship needs its own conversations in your relationship. It needs its own attention, its own intention, its own action steps to really get to the level that it can be. And it can be so great and so much easier than you may be experiencing it, which is what we want to talk about today.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of people at some point, maybe currently, right, find intimacy in their relationship a bit or maybe a lot difficult. Or maybe it comes in waves where it's like hard. Whatever. But like, I'm sure you all can resonate with it not going easy at some point in your relationship.
And just to clarify, like in this conversation, intimacy can look like a lot of things. And in this conversation, we're more specifically talking about sexual intimacy. So yeah. So, like one of the things I hear a lot can get in the way of sexual intimacy being easy is people's traumas.
I mean, understandably so.
Yeah. I mean, and especially for women,
Yep.
Or female-bodied people, not exclusively, of course, but
Sure.
those traumas, whether physical or even just like emotional internalized programming about our bodies being sex objects,
Mhm.
can do a lot of maybe I don't want to say damage, but like can make it messy in there.
Mhm.
Where when we want ease, it's like we're encountering this mess of stuff that's coming up that frankly makes sex and intimacy feel unsafe,
Mhm.
dangerous, threatening in some way. Um, and so that's a valid part of it.
Yeah, of what makes it hard. Another thing that
Mhm.
makes it hard can be sexual dysfunction,
Yeah.
right? Just not having the ability to do it.
Mhm. Mhm.
um, and sexual desire discrepancies,
Yeah.
like having a different drive or desire
Mhm.
for having sex.
That's probably the number one thing that we hear about
Yeah.
actually in couple relationships.
Mhm.
It's rare that we talk to a couple where both partners have like a really similar sexual appetite
Yep.
and set of desires for what sex looks like in their
That
relationship.
is so true. We have yet to see that. But like,
I'm
but
sure it happens out there.
yeah, but also I think sometimes what shuts it down, and I might be given a sneak peek, right? Like, there are other things that get in the way that can cause the discrepancy.
Mhm. The
Um,
low desire.
yeah,
Sure.
the lack of desire.
Yeah. Yeah. Like body image issues,
Mhm.
self-esteem, lack of confidence.
Yep. Yeah.
There's a lot of expectations that go into sex too, right? Like how it's supposed to go, how it's supposed to start, how long it's supposed to take before we come.
Yeah.
Just
When is it finished?
when does it fit? What is sex?
What is it?
Who's supposed to
What
initiate?
qualifies as it
Oh my
for you?
gosh. Yeah, there's so much. We have really so much programming where sex is concerned. We could talk about that all day long.
Oh gosh.
And a lot of it is not helpful. It's
Right.
not serving us our relationships. A lot of it is misinformation. It's
Mhm.
just frankly not true.
Yeah.
And I think, in addition to the misinformation, a lot of people just don't have information about what's normal, about what's supposed to happen, about how to understand and make sense of their bodies.
Possibly getting less of it too, right?
Getting
Depending on what state you live in.
less of people
Information
are
or
getting less
misinformation.
information.
Like, oh,
Yes.
you know?
Yes. I think culturally there's some backsliding that may be happening in parts of the United States that are making this even more challenging for
Yeah.
couples. So
You said it way better than me.
we're up against a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but you're not here to hear about all of the ways that it's hard. You know those things, right? Just wanted to intro that. Let's talk about no, actually
So I guess like if finding it to be harder than you want it to be, we understand why.
Yeah, well,
right?
that's exactly it. We want to
That's
normalize
what,
the challenges and validate the challenges that you might be having.
Yeah.
And like you're not alone. And that's so funny too, because I think that like there is this narrative that sex is supposed to be easy.
yeah.
Right? Like like we see it in Hollywood all the time. Couple falls in love, they're like so hot for each other, they can't wait to rip each other's
yeah.
clothes off.
Okay, well that's like the TV generation. The internet generation kids, right? Their models are like pornography.
Porn.
It's
Oh
like
my gosh.
worse.
Yes. Yeah.
Like way worse.
Yeah, they'll talk about some expectations there for what sex is supposed to look like.
Oh my goodness.
Woo.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
like, yeah, just really want to normalize and validate that. And when we talk about making sex easy, we're not necessarily prescribing that you somehow eventually get to the Hollywood model
Mhm.
or the pornography model of sex. What we're talking about is just being in ease of flow, connection, partnership, fun, joy, pleasure, fulfillment in
Mhm.
your relationship in ways that are authentic
Mhm.
to the two of you, because you're going to have your own unique sexual relationship that like is going to look like no one else's exactly, because it's this beautiful byproduct of the two of you
And your uniqueness.
in your uniqueness, being together in this really intimate and wonderful way.
Yeah. It's happening nowhere else in the universe.
Yeah, except for between these two souls and bodies and
Mhm.
minds and
And this
energies. Like,
Space and time. Ooh. We got a little wooey.
let's go. Okay, so let's talk about how you can make it easy, because I know that's what you really want to know.
Yeah.
The first thing I will say is
Let it be easy.
let it be easy. Let
I
it be
said
easy.
it for you.
Thanks.
Let it be okay.
Let it all be okay. And I know, like, that sounds like, well,
Cliche. What the hell?
what am I supposed to do with that, guys?
Sage advice.
If I could, I would. We're making fun of ourselves, not you. But the truth is, right? Like, when we say let it be easy, this is a decision, right? It's a decision, and it takes some practice. It takes, like, letting go of those expectations of how it should be.
Yes, please.
And letting it be okay however it is. Letting it be okay that your partner has a sex drive that's different than yours. Letting it be okay that you're not having sex as much as you want. Letting it be okay that your body's not responding the way you want it to, or that you're not getting to have the kind of sex that you want to, right? Like that. And I'm hearing in my head, right, the resistance, like, what if I'm not okay with that? What if that's not okay with me? That's okay too. Let that be okay. Let it be okay that you want something different than you're getting. Where so much of our suffering comes in is we add this meaning to the fact that what is. And what it means is that it's always going to be that way. It means that I'm going to be unsatisfied for the rest of my life. It means that there's no other options. It means that we're stuck here. It means that I'm not loved. It means that I'm not good enough. Like, all of that stuff is the not being okay with it. The being okay with it, what we're talking about is like a radical acceptance of what is, which does not negate the desire to change or influence what is to make it become something better. That is totally okay, right? It's the sense of frustration, of shame, of judgment, of and it's all that shit, guys, that puts pressure on your sexual relationship. Okay, and pressure is like the when we're talking intimacy, is the killer of ease. If you feel pressured to perform, pressured to initiate, pressured to say yes, pressured to have sex when you don't want to, pressured to come when you're not feeling it, like
pressure to time,
right, to like get this done now. I mean, pressure is going to make it feel hard.
Yeah.
Bottom line. So whatever you can do to relieve that pressure and to surrender and allow into a more easygoing place within yourself, a more trusting place, having faith that you can get somewhere different, that it's okay to be where you are because it's leading you to where you want to be, that is going to change the game. So yeah, it sounds cliche and wooey and like, what are you supposed to do with it? But there is something that you have to do with it, right? Like, you have to decide, I want this to be easy. I am going to work on being okay with whatever is, accepting it. Having, we talk a lot with our clients about preference without attachment. I won't go into that now, but like, that's part of this piece. Having a preference, but not being attached to that being how it has to be in order for you to feel happy or satisfied or loved or good enough in this relationship.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've talked a little bit about making the decision, letting it be all okay. Talked a bit about like taking the pressure off the brakes, but also in between there is deciding that it's a priority. It's like, once you make the decision that it's, that it's all okay, making it prioritizing it as something that needs the attention, the intention, the willingness and practice, right? Nothing's going to change without prioritizing it and acting in that manner, right? If you throw it as your 15th highest priority, more than likely it's just going to continue to stay stagnant. But if you prioritize it up where you feel like it really is in terms of like the impact to your relationship, maybe 2 or 3, right? Like it's a totally different situation.
Yeah, if you can get the laundry done in your week, you can get some intimacy in. I mean, set the laundry aside, friend. No, really, like this prioritization really is so important. And again, it's counterculture to this idea that sex should just kind of unfold spontaneously and be really easy. When we say priority, we mean like you might need to schedule that.
If it has to be on the calendar as an event,
you need to talk about like, when can we be intimate again? We haven't been for a while. Like, you need to say, hey, I've been thinking about wanting to be naked with you. I've been thinking about you doing things to me. Can we make that happen? How can we make that happen? When can we make that? Like let's carve out the time. It's rare in our busy lives in this United States culture. It is rare to like just have the time for leisure, and sex and intimacy really is a leisure activity. Like picking up a book and reading a book, watching TV. But watching TV takes a lot less energy than sex. And so I think there's some resistance to anything that takes more energy from us, because we are spending so much energy elsewhere all day long.
Right.
Which actually makes me think about one other tip that I have for helping to make sex easier, which is to like feed yourself and your energy systems in whatever way you can. Right? The more that you're taking care of your physical body, your mental health, your mindset space, and just your relationship well-being, you're going to plug those energy drains and you're going to have more energy to have sex. But that's just a bonus that just came through for me to share. Where I was really trying to go in thinking about like sex as a priority is I wanted to just share, like, I saw this little reel clip from Emily Nagoski, fabulous sex educator, researcher, wrote Come As You Are, which I highly recommend, and Come Together, which I haven't yet read. But anyways, she said that, I think she was quoting research, and she found that people who had the best sex lives did two things. They had a great friendship, and they like took care of their friendship, and they prioritize sex. I love the way she talked about it. She talked about it like that when she says prioritize sex, she means they took the time to make sure that they were like laying in a bed and touching one another's skin. Something to that effect, right? Like that you get into bed and touch each other's skin. Make that a priority. And it's like those two things. So simple. But that shift, that decision that we need to prioritize this if we want it to be easy. We have to actually put in the energy and think about momentum too, right? In any kind of change, it's going to feel maybe a little bit harder in the beginning. The more that you do it and practice it, the easier it becomes, right? It becomes like any other thing that you've ever learned or gotten good at. Takes more energy and attention in the beginning, and eventually it's like second nature. You don't even have to think about it. You just get to enjoy it.
But also took prioritization to learn it, like to carve out the time to get better at it.
Exactly. So we have a few other notes. You mentioned like taking pressure off the brakes. That's actually a little bit different from what I was talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
let's talk more about the brakes, because it's important.
Right. Like previously we were talking about taking pressure off of sex, of having to have sex, right? Of sex having to be a certain way.
Yeah.
When we talk about taking pressure off the brakes, what we mean is that our sexual response system is actually a dual system.
Like a car.
Right? Like where we talk about what turns us on, what gets us excited, that's like our accelerator. But we don't actually think or talk a lot about in our relationships what dampens it, what puts pressure on the brakes. Like you do all the things that would normally turn me on, but if I've got a bunch of pressure on my brakes,
no chance.
like what would you do in a car? How far would you get? Like maybe the car would squeal forward a little bit, but it wouldn't be a very pleasant or fast ride.
We basically each have a brick.
Yes.
On one pedal at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. So learning about what puts pressure on your brakes, learning about what puts pressure on your partner's brakes, right? Like, what
Mhm.
are all the things that send the message to your body? Now is not a good time to have sex. Like, the kids are around. It's too hot. I'm
It's
hungry.
too late.
The house is messy. I got to
Yeah.
get to work soon. There's not enough time, right? Like, those are all things,
I
like,
didn't shower.
right? Those are all things that put pressure on our brakes. And so when you're aware of those, you can make conscious decisions about what to do about it to relieve some of that pressure
Mhm.
and experience the benefit of those things that put pressure on your accelerator.
Mhm.
And know too that, like, in every single couple, there's going to be different things that put pressure on accelerators and brakes. There's going to be different sensitivities. Like, I
Mhm.
have a very sensitive brake and not very sensitive accelerator.
Mhm.
And for me, what that means is that I identify somewhere in the gray sexual space. It's, but Cal's very different, has a very sensitive accelerator,
Mhm.
not so sensitive brake.
Yeah. Brakes are out.
Not
Unless
entirely.
I'm on my deathbed.
No, you were feeling pretty yuck when we got back from Bali.
I know, I was sick, physically ill.
Yep.
You know,
And
it's
that put
like
pressure
it
on your
takes
brakes.
that. Basically, that's what it is. I have to be really not feeling well in my body.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's about
all
it needs to be pretty extreme
Yeah.
for your brakes to, like, work.
Basically, yeah.
So,
This is why we pair off this way,
mhm,
so that we can be somewhere in the middle
mhm.
and be functional human
Yeah,
beings.
yin and yang, friends. Yin and yang. There's gifts to your partner's differences.
Otherwise, no, just kidding.
All right, we have a couple other tips.
Yeah.
You wanna take one?
Yeah. Agree that no is not a problem. Like, it's not an issue. It's not a rejection. It's not something to take personally.
Mm-hmm.
I, as a former basketball player, just kind of attribute it to, like, shooting shots, right? You're gonna nice. You're gonna hit some, and there's some that's gonna just bounce around the rim, right?
Mhm.
And so, can that be okay?
Mm-hmm. What is it, like Michael Jordan, who said you miss 100% of the shots you never take?
Yes, I believe that is a Jordan quote,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very true mathematically.
Mm-hmm.
So you're more likely to land a shot if you're shooting a shot.
Mm-hmm. But and, like, this, like, agree between the two of you that it's okay to say no.
Yes,
Is gonna ease up
some safety.
Right, create some safety. Yeah, it's gonna create safety for the person who's saying no, to know that it's okay, no big deal.
Yep.
And it's gonna create safety for the person who's hearing no, like, okay, no big deal.
Yeah.
Which connects to the first point, right? Like, let it all be okay. Let it be okay that they said no. It's not personal. It's not a rejection.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can get that and believe that, it makes a really big difference.
Yeah.
So that's really helpful. I would say also that if you can focus on willingness over desire, this can be really game changing. So what I mean by that is, we have, a lot of us, this assumption, expectation that in order to have sex, we need to be horny for it, right? Like, we need to have that desire in our body. And for folks who have a lot of pressure on the brakes, or not a very sensitive accelerator, folks like myself, if I only waited until I felt the desire for sex in order to have sex, we would maybe have sex like once a quarter, maybe. Right? Like, it just wouldn't happen, regardless of, like, what he does to try to generate the desire. Nah. And that's not because I don't find him attractive or he's not, like, a fabulous lover. He is. It's just the way that my system works.
Right. Difference.
Again, going back to let it all be okay. It took me a long time to be okay with that, to accept myself as I am and learn to work with it, instead of just, like, feeling shitty about it and deciding I'm never going to have sex again. Right. But so, like, for me, we you don't ever want to have sex when you're not willing to.
Right. Yeah.
Right. If you're not willing to have sex, if
like,
you don't,
it's bordering on non-consensual.
Right. We don't want to cross that line. That's not gonna feel good for you.
Yeah.
And if you are willing to try, or to be intimate, or to get into bed and be naked and see where it goes, even if you don't have the desire, even if you're not horny or yet aroused, the willingness is going to make it easy, because you're going to find you have more willingness more often than desire sometimes for some of us. And some of us have a more responsive system whereby like we're not going to be spontaneously turned on, but we will respond to stimulus that helps warm us up and get us to the point where we have desire. So there has to, but in order to even experience the responsive sex drive, you need to have to be willing to allow that. So keep that word in mind, right? The willingness. Like, am I willing? Can I be willing here? What am I willing to do? What am I willing to allow it to look like? You know, how am I willing to show up and participate?
Yeah. The last one is really like, be a team. It takes two of you to do this, like truly, literally, figuratively, all the things, right? So take responsibility for doing your part to make it easy for you, easier for your partner, just generally creating a container of safety and ease. So.
Yep. Yeah, you gotta. It's neither of you is solely responsible for making sex and intimacy easy or for making it happen.
No,
and both of you are personally responsible for making sex easy and making sure that it happens.
Yeah, you're contributing your half and you're influencing the other half.
Yes, absolutely.
It's important.
So we need to own that, right? Like for a long time, I was pointing my finger at my partners for my lack of desire, and expecting them to be able to do something magical so that I could feel what I thought I was supposed to be feeling, and was not taking any ownership at all for my part in it.
Yeah.
That it was a big thing that changed for me in being able to create a sexual relationship that is easy and fun and satisfying and alive, you know?
Yeah.
And I think,
I'll go ahead.
No, you go ahead, jump in.
I was just going to switch gears.
Oh,
what happens when you get good at
Oh, sure.
Or are you going to say something else?
Oh, I was going to go there too.
Okay. Yeah. So what happens when you get good at making sex easy?
Yeah. Easy to talk about, easy to do,
easy to not do.
No pressure.
Yeah.
You
feeling easy.
Yeah. It's
freedom.
It's freedom, right? It's this experience of total safety.
Yeah. Closeness, connection. We'll just add in layers to the goodness. You know?
Yeah.
It's good.
And I remember that story that I told about that research in the beginning, right? Where like when your relationship is good and sex is good, like it's 25% of the thing. So like it just kind of integrates into the rest of your life and becomes this really lovely aspect of your relationship joyfulness. So I wanted to share a little bit more about my story. I've shared some of it, you know, but I'll add that these are a lot of the steps that I took to create ease in our intimacy, in our relationship, where in every other relationship of my life, sex was really hard and really painful, and I really struggled with it. Not physically painful, but like emotionally painful. And so what it took for me to get there is I had to let go of what I thought sex was supposed to be, how I thought my body was supposed to be and behave, how I thought my partner was supposed to be and behave, and just let it all be okay. In my relationship with Cal, knowing that he had such a high sex drive, I had to not interpret that as an indication of my not being enough. Right? Let it be okay that he had the sex drive that he did. Let it be okay that he had the desire level that he did. Let it be okay for me to say no, and let it be okay for me to say yes when my body wasn't like all revved up like I thought it was supposed to be. I also knew, because of the intensity of our connection and the desire to make this relationship work, that I had to make it a priority, and I couldn't put that all on him. So that's what I did. It took some time to understand what put pressure on my brakes, to talk about that, let Cal know, to work with him as a team to find what works. And we know that like, yes is both of our preference, and no, the answer no is also okay. That Cal is responsible for his own well-being. He could take care of his own needs. And he's really lovely in that if that happens and I'm like not in a place where I can or want to or willing to say yes to intimacy, he never responds in a way that makes me feel guilty or bad about it. It's like always, okay, no big deal. No big deal. And then he takes care of his own stuff.
Yeah. And also like having your support in not feeling wrong or shameful or,
Right.
you know, deviant for having needs that are different than yours.
Yeah.
And also in like going to take care of them.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
that is also helpful.
Yeah.
right?
I don't feel, I don't feel personally offended by it. I just recognize that we're different.
Mhm.
He's got different needs than I am, and that's okay. Going back to that number one
Right.
piece. And so because I like have practiced these things, y'all, like we have been able to create this intimacy that is so lovely. Like it's so easy for Cal to express how he's feeling, his desire, where his body's at, what he's doing, for me to be honest about where I'm at, for us to be like chill about whatever. And also like sex is always a priority. We're both prioritizing it. We're both like engaging with one another. It's so safe. It's so fun. It creates all this space for exploration. Like I have never dreamed that, well, maybe there was a part of me that dreamed that I would have like this great and easy of a time in a sexual relationship, especially given, you know, my personal struggles with my sexual response system. And yet, lo and behold, here we are. And I feel like I want to personally shout it from the rooftops what is possible when you decide that it's what you want and you take responsibility for getting there.
Yeah, that's really it.
Yes. Yeah. So we want to wrap up with an invitation for y'all because we have a really great program that we are starting. And we always want to invite you. It's, you know, again, like no's are okay. Yeses are wonderful. It's our responsibility to shoot the shot and your responsibility to
and maybe it makes it in your hoop, maybe it doesn't.
To say yes or no.
Yeah.
But so we are starting a program called Next Level Love, and we're super excited about it. And intimacy is just like one of many areas of our relationship, right? That can just keep getting better, keep leveling up, becoming more easy and more fulfilling. And so Next Level Love is designed to support you in taking all of those areas of your relationship, including who you be and how your life looks for you, to those next levels.
Yeah. So it's really for people who want to really deepen their connection, but set their sights high, right? Reach that fullest potential of joy and fulfillment in their relationship. Like have a relationship that just feels like good to be in, right? Enjoy.
And always getting better.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, people who want to enjoy like deepening their connection and improving their partnership, building those layers, who understand that having a strong relationship is the fuel, is the energy for all other like bonus areas in your life, right?
Yeah, this is for people who are really dedicated to taking excellent care of their relationships so it can continue to grow and fulfill and energize you both, right? Like if you're a couple who desires or person who desires to experience extraordinary in all areas of your life, then Next Level Love is like, this is for you, right?
Yeah.
So some of the things that this program is set up to support you with.
Yeah, designed to do. Yep.
Clarify and plan your next level of life and love, like identify your goals, create a plan, accelerate your personal and relational growth.
Yeah, it all starts with decision and clarity.
This program is going to help you learn how to overcome challenges, address and eliminate 90% of them. And learn what you need to navigate any other challenge with ease. Of course, we're going to like level up communication, teach you really powerful and effective tools to ensure that you both feel seen, heard, and understood, even in the most difficult conversations.
Yeah, we're gonna help you all deepen your connection and your intimacy.
Of course,
help
an important part.
Right, strengthen your bond, expand, bring in more fun, more play, more joy in your relationship, and through all that, strengthen your commitment.
Yeah,
help you engage in exercises that'll solidify your commitment and bring you closer than you've really ever been.
This is a program that also really integrates like conscious co-creation and holistic growth. So Next Level Love is designed to support you to effectively co-create your individual and shared dreams and elevate all aspects of your life as an individual and in relationship with one another. And what's really great about this program is that you can join as an individual, because we know that it only takes one person to change or improve things. And sometimes your partner might not be open to engaging in this way, or may not be able to. They might have other priorities right now for their time and energy. But if you do join as a couple, there's no extra charge for your partner to participate in Next Level Love with you. So the investment is $2,111 for per month for a 12-month commitment. And we would love to see you in the program.
Yeah,
it's gonna be such a powerful container of support and growth and constant leveling up, and you deserve to be in it. Your relationship deserves to be in it.
Yeah.
So we will look forward to hearing you. Just send us a DM with Next Level Love, or say Next Level Love in the comments, and we'll get you more details.
Yeah, look forward to hearing from you soon.
Have a